So I got asked the question on TikTok, are all RVs the same? And the question stemmed from a whole nother video. And then it got me thinking. I know I've covered this topic a couple times, but I kind of wanted to get a little more in depth on that here, on RVs essentially being the same. I'm not telling you that a $10,000 RV is the same thing as a $500,000 RV, but it is a little bit, okay? So let's just elaborate on that a little bit. Now, obviously, when I say they're all the same, I'm not trying to tell you that this motorhome is exactly the same as, let's say, your standard travel trailer or a pop up camper, for instance. That's not what I'm saying. This Integra coach clearly has some upper hand on something like this Grand Design Reflection right here. They have their differences and their similarities. We're going to go in this Imagine here and find a few things that are common components. So across your travel trailers, fifth wheels, pop-up campers, and things like that, we'll leave Class A's out of this equation for now, just because of the simple fact that a lot of Class A's do have some higher-end components, like an aqua hot heating system. But in other words, let's look at this Furrion stove. You'll find this Furrion stove in multiple different brands from multiple different manufacturers. You'll find them in everything from Class C's, Class A's, travel trailers like this one. You'll see those everywhere. Same with this thermostat. That name on the top of the thermostat probably looks familiar to a lot of you. Dometic. Dometic makes the air conditioner in here, and they make the air conditioners for a lot of RVs. Another one you'll see is Coleman Mach. Again, they're used across the board, everything from pop-up campers to big fifth wheels to Class A motorhomes. You will see this identical thermostat or a few variations of it, as well as a few different variations of air conditioners that are used across the board. Plumbing fixtures and toilets, things like that are going to be other common things that you will see used across different manufacturers in different types of RVs, again, ranging from Class A all the way down to pop-up campers. Plumbing fixtures are something that are not proprietary. Things like shower surrounds or weird little fancy fixtures, those may be proprietary to the manufacturer, but they're going to be the same size fittings, same plumbing systems. It's really all the same thing with that stuff as well. Refrigerators are probably the biggest ones. Even getting into residential style refrigerators you find in Class A motorhomes, you're going to see those same refrigerators in a lot of nicer fifth wheels and things like that. And then even your regular refrigerators like your Furrions, Dometics, Norcold, Everchills, you're going to find those across multiple manufacturers because the manufacturers don't make the refrigerators. They buy them from a few different select manufacturers of RV products. Getting into microwaves, you're going to see the same things, your Furrions, High Points, etc. Even your power distribution centers, your fuse and breaker panels, you're going to see those doing the same thing, coming from the same manufacturer and installed in the same manner as in any other coach. The electrical systems are essentially all the same too. Now, some may have more simple control panels with just switches. This one has some nicer buttons. This one's proprietary to Grand Design. This is made by Grand Design. But you'll get into things like the Firefly systems or the Spider systems. Those get to be brand specific depending on what models you're looking at. But essentially, all RVs are wired the same way as far as their 12-volt systems, 120-volt systems, and then again, back to some of the products like the actual outlets themselves, USB ports, and things like that. They're all going to come from the same manufacturer. Again, some may be a little fancier, and very few may be proprietary to a brand or a manufacturer, but that does not mean that you couldn't use any 12-volt USB receptacle or any 120-volt outlet in an RV like this. Now let's take a look at this Class C and see that we have a Suburban water heater. This is a Winnebago Mini Winnie, but you will see the same Suburban water heater in multiple different manufacturers, from Grand Design, Jayco, you name it. You're going to see these everywhere. And then you have a few different models of these. You have your Atwoods, and they're going to go across every manufacturer. I don't know of any of them that make their own water heater. You go over to this Wildwood by Forest River, and what do we have? Another Suburban water heater. So all of those components, again, are shared. Then you get into even bigger components, such as slide room mechanism, the Schwintek slide room mechanism. I won't get too in-depth about the Schwintek system because I have a lot I can say about it, but I will say that it is widely used across almost every RV manufacturer. Let's look at this Primetime LaCrosse. Take a peek at these tail lights, all right? Keep that image in your head. Heading back over to the Wildwood. Looks awfully familiar, doesn't it? Now let's go back to the Class A over here, this Integra, so we can talk about how Class A's differ a little bit. So a lot of these you're not going to have your typical water heater. You're going to have something like an AquaHot or another form of hydronic heating system. Again, not proprietary to Integra. You'll find an AquaHot also in a Tiffin and things like that. It's just once you get into the higher end units, you're going to have higher end components. But again, they're all going to be the same, if that makes sense. So for instance, once you're familiar with, say, a hydronic heating system, AquaHot, you can work on the same AquaHot that's in a Tiffin, likewise with an Integra. So I'm not saying that all RVs are the same so that there's no sense in buying a higher end RV. I'm just saying that throughout RVs, all of the parts are shared and they're essentially all the same. And what you're getting for your money when you buy something like said Integra is you're getting nicer components like on-demand water and heat, or hot water and heat through a hydronic heating system versus a little furnace and a little water heater. Those are some of the things that will change. With these nicer coaches comes bigger things as well. Bigger coach, bigger generator. Now, Onan is used pretty much across the board for most manufacturers right now. The size and quality of the Onan generator is going to change based on the coach. This Integra has a beautiful Cummins powered generator, whereas you might have a smaller little Onan generator that's either propane or gas powered. That's not going to be quite what this is. And while a lot of them come from the same manufacturer, the styles of awnings will change between coaches like this one and this one. But again, they're made by a majority of the same manufacturers. And travel trailers and fifth wheels, they're all really going to have the same awnings. Class A's, they change a little bit, but again, come from the same manufacturers. And then there's the obvious answer to this entire question is, what is the difference between RVs? It's fit and finish. Of course, you get into an Integra like this, look at this beautiful fit and finish. A lot of times you're going to have solid wood cabinets, nicer appliances, even induction cooktops, which again, across the board with Class C's, Class A's, and Class B's that do have these induction cooktops, they're all going to be made by the same companies. Getting into Class A's, you may start seeing things from Samsung and things of that likeness. But again, a lot of it's going to come down to fit, finish, and materials. You're not going to see a shower like this in a pop-up camper, and you're not going to see a vanity like this in a pop-up camper. But the way that they're designed and the components they use are essentially the same. Perfect example right there, windows. Most of these manufacturers don't make their own windows. These days, a majority of them come from Lippert. There are some other companies, but a majority of them come from Lippert. Things like shades. A lot of these shades, whether you're in a Class A or a travel trailer, a lot of them are going to come from companies like MCD. So most of the components are the same across these RVs. It's those small details you're paying for. The amount of slide outs, the build quality, the overall size of the coach, and then again, the components that are going into it. You get into these Class A's and you have these nicer Samsung residential refrigerators, you have AquaHot heating, you have fireplaces, which again, that's another one that's the same thing across the board. You're going to have solid Corian countertops, induction cooktops, but again, they're all shared. If that big, beautiful Class A motorhome is what you have in mind, by all means, buy the big Class A motorhome. I'm not saying that you're not getting your money's worth by buying the larger or more fancy coach. This entire question really stemmed from me promoting the NRVTA home study course for RV owners. And somebody had asked, well, how does that information or knowledge that you're learning in that course transfer when all coaches are the same, or all coaches are different, I'm sorry. And my response was, they're really not that much different. The entire point of the course is to get you to understand the basic workings of an RV, how the AC electrical system works, the DC electrical system and its importance, propane systems, water systems, and then appliances. And the appliances, as I've just showed you, kind of go across the board. So whether you own a Jayco or a Grand Design, once you understand how to diagnose and repair the few basic furnaces and water heaters and awnings that are out there on those models, you're going to know across the board. Most importantly, understanding electrical. Once you understand electrical and how the systems work and how DC circuits and AC circuits work, diagnosing them becomes a breeze. And I'm going to use those same procedures and diagnostic procedures, whether I'm in a beautiful Class A like this one or if I'm in a pop-up camper. It's really all the same. The systems do get a little fancier, they get a little bigger, and you may have to take some more stuff apart along the way when you get into something like this. But again, they're all same but different. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. I never really realized how similar they were and how different they were until I got asked about it multiple times, especially promoting that course. If you're interested in that course, you can check it out. It's on my website, thatrvtech.com. I do have a link directly towards it. I'm not going to gear this video towards promoting that. I just kind of wanted to get a general understanding of where this whole question came from and how all RVs relate to each other. So if you're interested in fixing your own RV and you do want to check that out again, thatrvtech.com. I have the link and everything you need to know there. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm always looking for different reasons to make content and different content to bring to you. And the best content I can bring to you is the content you guys want to see. I can spend hours twirling in my chair or working on something, figuring out what tips and tricks I can give you guys. But if there's anything in specific that you guys want covered, make sure you leave it in the comments. I always take that stuff into consideration.